Hi everyone, and welcome back to another TFT Masterclass. Today we are going to be continuing our Hidden OP series on the new patch 14.13. Before we get into it, we have a new C9 jersey winner. So, congratulations to Florian Kubiak. Please do the following steps so then we don't need to redraw. Join the Training Grounds Discord in the server, and then message me, head coach Upsetmax, or at me anywhere in the server so we can start getting your details so we can send out your jersey. And please do this before our next class, which will be on Monday, or else we will have to redraw again and hope for some response. So congrats again, and hope to hear from you soon. Getting straight into today's class, so 3 hidden comps on the patch 14.13. The first one is going to be Dryad Ghostly Gnar Reroll with some specific artifacts that enable this comp. Vertical Mythic Annie, where we're going to be putting an emblem on Annie and playing 7 Mythic. And then last but not least, a kind of a revamp of a comp that had been really strong before, the Heavenly Augments comp. I'll talk about why that is good and why it's coming back into the meta in certain scenarios. At the very end, we'll do a recap and a Q&A for anyone who is watching this live. So the first comp of today is going to be Gnar Reroll. Now you might be thinking, okay, Gnar Reroll sucks, the stats on it are horrible, even the Dryad augments like Mulch on this is bad, and you're correct. However, there is very slim conditions where this comp is actually being able to play, hence being secret hidden OP. First off, this is going to be a level 6 composition because we are going to be rerolling 2 costs, our Gnar and our Kindred, and we're going to be playing a minimum of 4 Dryad and 4 Ghostly on level 8, where we could be playing even higher of that, so 6 and 6 if we have any emblems. It's a mixed damage composition where we're going to be sustained/scaling and allowing our passive for Gnar to scale up and get a ton of AD. And here's the condition to play. So in order to play this composition, well, you need to have either the Silvermirror Dawn augment or artifact or the Corrupt Vampiric Scepter artifact. Both of these can come from either an encounter or the Living Forge augment, Portable Forge augment. However, Latent Forge is too late because you'll want to commit to this from early on. So I'll talk about on the next slide why this is good, and then also if you're able to get mulched on top of this, then that's a bonus and you'll have even better luck playing this composition. That's a condition to play, and here's what it looks like. So the first one, Silvermirror Dawn, this is the first artifact that is playable on Gnar. Basically, you get immunity to stun, so you're almost always attacking, and your attacks also stun the targets. On top of that, you have an insane amount of AD from this augment or from the artifact, and same with resistances. So this is the first one. Also, the holder's attack speed is locked at 0.5, which is fine because normally the Gnar attack speed is quite low anyway. The second one is kind of the opposite. So now instead of just doing heavy hits slowly, we're now doing a lot of hits very quickly. So Corrupt Vampiric Scepter giving us 60% attack speed, and then also dealing more damage as physical damage and healing us for the damage dealt. The condition on this though is, however, we can now no longer cast the boulder or gain mana. So because these are kind of polar opposite artifacts, both do very well on Gnar, as you can see here. Not only is the delta good, like relative delta as well from this augment and play rate, they have very different builds, which we'll get into on the next slide. All right, so this is going to be our 2 level 6 reroll boards, depending on what artifact we have. First off, you're going to be wanting to level to 6 on 3-2, because we are kind of like a tempo composition. You want to be killing as many units as early as possible to start stacking up that Dryad. I think spiking on 3-5 is a bit too late. So go to level 6 on 3-2 and roll immediately for your 2-star Gnar plus Kindred. And you're going to be wanting to stay on level 6 for Gnar 3 and Kindred 3. Now regarding items, definitely prioritize your Gnar items first over your Kindred, because Kindred is more flexible. The first one, let's say we do have Silvermirror Dawn, then we are going to be wanting to build a Bloodthirster plus a Sterix or a Triforce. The reason why this is good is because we're going to be hitting really hard, but not too often. So these really heavy hits will give us a lot of HP back from our BT. And then also the Sterix BT combination proc timing is extremely efficient. So the Sterix procs at 60% HP gives us more maximum health. And then Bloodthirster procs at 40%, which will give us a shield based off of our max health. So both of these work off extremely well off of each other. That's the first one. And then the second one, if we have Corrupt Vampiric Scepter, now we're going to be wanting Rage Blade or Mittens plus a QS, because we're going to be attacking so fast and dealing a ton of damage. We definitely want immunity to crowd control, hence this QS, and then some other attack speed steroid to amplify with or to work with the actual Vampiric Scepter, hence a Rage Blade or Mittens. So here are the two builds, basically. You see here Sylvanmere BT Steric or Corrupt Vampiric Scepter Rageblade QS. In the back, Kindred holds a lot of items. Blue buff, always very good. Adaptive and Shojin are fine as well, but blue buff definitely the best. Then you want some sort of healing reduction, either red buff or Morello, and then some sort of damage on the Kindred. A Rabadon's is best. However, you could also do like Archangel or Jewel Gauntlet. This is going to be a level 6 board because we don't have any of the main 4 costs yet, like the Kayn or the Ornn. So we'll just be playing around 3 Faded and then link the Kindred and Ari because getting resistances on the Thresh doesn't do anything, or doesn't do that much. That's on level 6. Once you have your 3-star Gnar and your 3-star Kindred, you start pushing levels. And this is what your level 8 board is going to look like for Dryad, for Ghostly, where we now have that Kayn and that Ornn. So regarding positioning, we definitely want to be putting Gnar on the edges and opposite side of the enemy damage. This allows Gnar to have time to stack up. You're avoiding the middle where a lot of CC occurs, and you're able to just like stack up, get your AD up, and then start taking over the board once Ghostly procs. In regards of units, you can play Rek'Sai until you have Azir, and then play Azir once you get him. Kayn carries any secondary AD items if there's an item overflow in that specific game. Even Shroud is also very good on Kayn, same side him with the Gnar. And then your main tank items will be going on the Ornn, and Ornn will be tanking the main damage, whether this is like an Ashe, etc. On that side. So super good comp, give it a try. Here are some really good augments to go with this. Of course, you need one of the artifacts to actually play this composition, so either Portable Forge or Living Forge. Mulch is very good as well, but definitely not good enough to like force this composition. And then Heavy Hitters is a great last augment because we have so much HP from that Dryad. Boom is really good, works extremely well with Kindred, being able to proc it so many times with a low mana pool. Prismatic Ticket to ensure that we hit this Gnar and that Kindred 3. You can even go for some other 3-stars as well, like a TG on Aatrox. And then Unified Resistance, very good, and a Ghostly or Dryad +1. Last but not least, here are some stats to actually show that this works very well. As you can see, the game sample size is quite low because this is a hidden comp, but here's where the OP comes in. You see that average placements is very high if you're able to get that Gnar 3, Kindred 3, and we have our Sylvanmere Dawn, BT Sterix, and our other option, the Corrupt Vampiric Scepter, QS, and the Rageblade. So low play rate, really specific circumstance, extremely high average placements. So if you do have one of these two artifacts, then you could definitely play this composition, and now you know how to get a really high placement in a very unpopular, uncommon composition. Moving on, it's going to be more of a popular composition, but not seen too often. It's going to be Vertical Mythic, where we're having an emblem on Annie. This is a level 8 comp where we have a lot of magic damage, and we are doing AoE. So not too much single target damage from this composition, but we are hitting almost the entire board. The Mythic +1 on Annie allows for us to play 7 Mythic for Invoker on level 8, which is a very large spike, and this is all magic damage, so make sure we have either a Shiv or a Spark. The reason why Mythic is so good on Annie, well, not only is 7 Mythic a really good breakpoint, giving extra health onto Annie, who scales with HP, is extremely well, and then also giving her extra AP as well is not bad. The only thing that we don't use in this composition is the attack damage. So here's what the board looks like. Here we go, 7 Mythic on frontline, Tahm Kench, Nautilus, Annie, Nico, all Mythic units, and then in the back, Lilia, Kog'Maw, Hui, and Azir is there for our 4th Invoker. If you don't have Azir, then you could definitely play an Elune instead. That's perfectly fine, especially if you don't have any Shred, as Elune will provide Shred for your team. Because we have 4 Invoker, we definitely want to be building that blue buff or adaptive instead of Shojin, which you will only do in 2 Invoker, and then any damage item, but Rabadon, Jewel Gauntlet is best. You can also do Jewel Gauntlet plus Guardbreaker. Your main tank is going to be Annie, which will hold your Mythic emblem, and then Gargoyle is really good on Annie, and then either a Spark or Redemption depending on what you have for Shred. Mana items go on to Nautilus, so your Protector's Vow or even a Redemption, and then Healing Reduction, so either a Morello or a red buff will go on Hui along with some mana item as well. In terms of positioning, you want to make sure that Lilia is on the opposite side of the main carry, so then your bowling ball can hit through the entire team, and that's it. Let's install augments to go along with this composition. Of course, you need a Mythic Crest or Crown in order to play this comp, at least to play the 7/4 variation. If you don't have a Mythic emblem, technically you can still play this comp. You'll just have to play 5 Mythic for Invoker instead, and then play an Alawi for Warden and Arcanist. Dual Lotus 3 is extremely good. Then we essentially have a 4-item Lilia, and then even our other units benefit from this as well. Baboom as well, and then a couple other starter kit, Martyr, Unified, Epic, or Slamming, or Convocaster, all great in this composition as well. Definitely give this a try if you have a Mythic +1. Moving on to our last and final composition is going to be the Heavenly Sin comp with duoing Kayn. This is going to be a level 8 melee physical damage burst composition, and it's kind of here for 2 reasons. First off, if you have a Heavenly +1, which is going to be one of the conditions, putting this on Lee Sin allows him to get an insane amount of stats that he uses very well, because he also has AP ratios and allows for that high cap of 7 heavily. One thing to note that because this is a melee composition, it's a very augment dependent comp, and you definitely need some special augments to really help boost the combat power of your board. And last but not least, since duelists are no longer really in meta, Lee Sin has become very uncontested, allowing you to hit this unit quite easily. This is what the level 8 board is going to look like, where we have the Heavenly Spats and some sort of either Bloodthirster plus Sterkar Titans or Edge of Night, Last Whisper Hodge are all fine on Lee Sin. Kayn's items, his best is Last Whisper, Hodge, Eon. However, they essentially use the same combinations of items. So like Sterix is fine as well, Titans is fine as well. That just depends on your item economy and who you 2-star first. And then everybody else is essentially just the Heavenly units with a Morgana in the back holding healing reduction and some sort of mana gen. In regards to positioning, it's pretty similar to Gnar. You want to be putting your melee carries on the edges and then away from the enemy main damage unless it is AoE and there's no burst. So if you're playing against like a board that has like Morgana, Lilia, or any like Hui boards, then because of that lack of single target damage, this composition can thrive, and you can position same side, burst through their defenses on the same side as their carry, and then get to their carry. One other thing to note is why this composition is kind of good is because Syndra Faded got nerfed and is no longer out of the meta, and Syndra was the #1 comp because of the single target burst damage that Syndra provided. So that is why Heavenly is kind of getting back into the meta. However, it is countered by 7 Storyweaver triple blue Kale. So it's give and take, but definitely playable as long as you have a Heavenly +1. On level 9, you add in your Soraka for 7 Heavenly, and you're in a good spot to go. Some great augments to go with this composition, of course that Heavenly +1, and there's actually a lot of really good augments for this comp, not today, giving you a free Edge of Knights and extra attack speed. Little buddies is just extremely good for this composition. Divine rolls to be able to hit everything and be ahead on tempo. Tiny but deadly because we are a melee composition. Attack speed is always great, and then the movement speed will decrease our downtime of attacking. And then keepers, of course, in this case we would position more bunched up, so we would have like Kiana like here, like Malphite, or actually Malphite here, Kha'Zix here, and then Nico here, so then everybody is kind of bunched up and making good use of the keeper's value. And you can even put like Morgana and Soraka back here as well. So that has been everything for today. We're going to do a quick recap of all of our comps that we discussed, and then have a Q&A for anyone who is watching this live. So today we talked about 3 uncommon compositions that have really good placements with certain conditions. The first one is Dryad Ghostly Gnar Reroll, where we need that Silver Mirror Dawn or Corrupt Vampiric Scepter artifact. Without this condition, I really do not recommend playing this composition, and you definitely need this to place well with Gnar Reroll. The second one is Vertical Mythic Annie. A lot more simpler. As long as you have a +1 and able to put that on Annie, then you could go with 7 Mythic and 4 Invoker, and it's a very strong composition. And then our last one is if you have a Heavenly +1. This comp has been around for a while, so I'm sure you played it. Just put the Heavenly emblem on Lee Sin, not Kayn, because Lee Sin makes better use of the actual stats from Heavenly, and then try to get to level 9 ASAP with such a cheap board and get that Soraka in for 7 Heavenly. So that has been everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you are the winner of the C9 jersey, to make sure you join the Training Grounds Discord, and so that we have some sort of contact, and that way we are able to get you your jersey ASAP. That has been everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. PBE should be back, or should be here in a few weeks. I believe it's the 22nd or the 24th. Actually the middle. It's on June 23rd, so keep an eye out for that for the set 12 PBE to be dropped. Take care and have a great night.